You're right. Okay. Recording?
Are we on?
Should be on, yes.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Hi, thank you for being here. The time is 7 p.m., so we can get started. This is the village board meeting for the village of Willow Springs. Today is October 12th, 2023, and this meeting is called to order. Madam Clerk Charles, can we please call the roll?
Trustee Ara,
Here.
Kennedy, Micah,
Here.
Hash, Moon,
Here.
Carr,
Here.
President Nettmeyer.
Here, and that completes the roll, and we have a quorum. That's all. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Right, thank you again, everybody, for being here. And you will see here that I have this substantial Eagle trophy on the dais with me tonight. That is our first action item. It's a very outstanding one, and we're very happy to be making this recognition tonight. It comes to us as part of the All American Eagles program that was founded by our former Congressman Bill Lipinski. It recognizes individuals for outstanding involvement and devotion to our community. Tonight, we are joined by All American Eagles Program Representative Brian Bernardoni. Thank you for being here, Mr. Bernardoni. He will be making this award and presentation here for us.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. The Lipinski family, especially the Lipinski, as everyone here knows, was a thoughtful individual. The park district lifestyle and service. His sense of patriotism, his sense of doing what the community wants and needs, being a servant leader, is something that is very near to him. We continue this tradition here. As the chairman of the Salvation Army, we use a phrase within the Army where we talk about the others. That's what we do, being a servant leader, taking care of the others. We live in a time right now, for example, 87% gunshots fired in the city of Chicago. And of course, 911, but someone else. Those that serve voluntarily themselves. Yeah. I'm also aligned with founder of one of the foundations of the Lions Club and Justice. And so pleased to see so many fellow Lions here. Lions typify taking care of the sex of the law. So on behalf of the Lipinski family, and Bill especially, I'd like to read the following. The All American Eagles program is extremely proud and happy to present Mike Swigelski, the Eagle Head Award, for countless acts of patriotic community involvement, unlimited devotion to our land of liberty and the fortress of freedom. When Mike moved into Willow Springs, he felt the need to help his fellow friends and neighbors. He thought about doing this by joining the Willow Springs Lions Club 26 years ago, in 1977. But every office in the Lions Club was president of the job. Currently serving as the club secretary, which he has done for the past 10 years. Mike was also elected as Lions District Wyoming Governor in 1992. Presided over all the clubs in the Chicagoland area. The surrounding suburbs. Mike has been awarded the Lions Senior Master Key Award by 25 or more members. The Illinois Foundation Fellow Awards. Yes, Melvin Jones. Melvin Jones was the Chicago businessman who started and they allow the international search of this is only a few of line like services for the community. The flag committee at every year, he puts up and removes the American flags. He brought us to doctor's office, seniors, along with residents that need help. His sponsor and opened his doors to his home. Six or more foreign exchange students from around the world. He ran free items program for underprivileged youth that grew to anyone who needed them. He's helped the village with strengths. We've been involved in local walkathons in the area that help raise funds for the Willow Spring Friends Club. It raised the most money. He matched his collection with his own personal. Like the also is trillion and Willow Spring probably has been present. Willow Spring Friends Club, along with his neighbors in the community. There is nothing that our Lions Club can do. I would think that a foundational member of helping my life along with others on the club. This is the person that makes people. Yeah. When the things we would say. Thank you, boss, by this slide. Five or cats. Must be able to lead on muscular grades. Look. Positive Americanism is contributions. I think another round of applause might.
Thank you again, Brian Bernardoni, for making the presentation, and Mike, congratulations on your very well deserved award. On behalf of the Village of Willow Springs, thank you for all that you do for our community. We will move into our next item, it's disposition of previous minutes in our board pack. We have minutes from September 28, 2023. May I have a motion to approve those minutes? By trustee Todd. By trustee Micah, discussion or question on the minutes? Hearing none, roll call vote please.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Ash,
Aye.
Moon, Tara.
All ayes, thank you, those minutes are approved. On to village administrator report, Administrator Grace.
Thank you. Just a couple quick things for everybody tonight, so that you all know, we are on target still for the land use study that we're doing on the Willow Springs corridor land owned by LT High School. It was confirmed just yesterday, actually, that they're moving along very well. They expect to have their summary report back to me by the end of the month, and we'll be able to bring it to the board and determine our next appropriate steps once we have that back. So that is still on schedule. Another update for you is the 2024 budget process. I think Dan might talk about that a little bit this evening, and he's got a bunch to go over, but just so that everybody knows, At this point, we've met with each department head to go over their needs and requests for 2024. We're working on a preliminary draft budget that we should be able to present to you at our October 26th meeting, which will then allow approximately a month and a half before we have to approve that budget at our December 14th meeting. So it'll allow us all plenty of time to review it, have questions, make modifications, and approve the final well before the first of the year. So we're on target there. And then one other item of note for you is that our property, our liability, and our health insurance renewals are also going to be coming up. So I've been working with our broker to get that taken care of. I expect a presentation from our broker for both of those policies at our November 16th board meeting. So we'll be reviewing those things and hopefully taking action that as well. So those are just a couple of the things that we've been working on here. That concludes. Thank you.
So lots coming up in November and December as well. Village clerk report for terms.
I would just like to mention trick or treating hours for this year will be from 3 to 8 p.m. And also Wicked Willow will be held on October 31st from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. at Lions Park. There will be lots of fun activities. We will also be serving hot dogs and refreshments. Please come out and join us. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Fletch. Reports of the officials. First is village engineer. I'm going to rest of the comparison as he did share some updates, and I will just pass this along. The smoke testing is scheduled to begin next week, 10/19. Village Hall roof project is complete and certified by the manufacturer. And the road project is complete and down to the final punch list. Landscaping items. So that completes the engineer's update. Village attorney, Eric.
There is no report this evening.
Okay, thank you, Village Treasurer Dennis.
Thank you. First thing I think last week, everybody, our last meeting, everybody was given the audit. So it's, I know it's 2021, trying to play catch up and everything. Significant time. First of all, I'm happy the report is completed. I'm on call trying to figure out, so the audit has many different parts. The first part of the audit is the implementation section. There's an opinion by the auditor. And I think the key thing to look at that opinion is that we have an unmodified opinion. We have a legal stuff. There's no irregularities, everything's in fine shape that you see in the audit. That's the main thing people want to get. It's not a Silicon Valley thing. Now, unique to government accounting, we have two different types of financial statements in our audit. One is the statement of position, which is the first two pages, which try to show the village as it looks like as a corporation. And it's a little daunting given the fact that we show a big deficit, but that's a function of the fact that we have debt that relates to TIFs. And you're all familiar, there's no asset. So of course there's a deficit. So once we pay off that TIF debt or it goes away, our numbers will look even better in that report. The more important report is the next point I call the fund financial statements. Almost every time we talk about anything, meetings that we focus on. Last year we some of the other funds. And so those are all separately laid out, and that's how we manage it. Footnotes have a plethora of information that I think is very useful. You can see our debt, you can see our pension information. You might get bored by it, but as you go through it, it really gives. There's some very dynamic information. And if anything ever concerns you, I always go there and find information. If you ever have a question, we'll be glad to point you to where the information is, that you have a full understanding of what's going on in the village. Then at the end, there's supplemental information. We have information on the trends of our pension plan, information on how our spending compares to our budgets. We have information on our outstanding debt. All of this information, again, tries to give a more firm picture of the village. I put it here, this is all this by the way, I think there we go. Basically, this is the first year that we have a full calendar year based upon the first fiscal year that's a calendar year. So there were some unusual numbers back in 2020 because you only had 8 months worth of activity. In particular, you lost half the property tax revenue. So the good news is we're past that. And until that disappears from the overall reports of the detailed records, it's really, you can't even compare it. I also use this audit in this presentation. It's really the starting point of what we do. So we do have 2022 numbers. I shared the preliminary audit numbers. And they were positive. And we have numbers down for 2023 for 9 months, which is the next topic. Presentation. You put those together, hopefully we're not going to be far off from that. And that becomes the basis of our we're in very good shape. Page 69 of the audit we had, but again, the TIF balances went through a lot of changes. Effectively, the previous auditors, and that's not just Lauterbach, but also the previous auditor for that, had done some unusual accounting at SM. First of all, the junior lien bonds, if the interest wasn't paid, it's accumulated, then gets paid when the monies are available. They didn't get. We kind of understate what the total liability is. And by the way, that's also if they don't get paid, what the potential implication. Second thing is that in the TIF funds, there's $100,000 each year that was supposed to be transferred to the general fund for the support of the general fund for the TIF fund, which wasn't done. So that money was sitting in the TIF funds. The third thing is, for some reason, property taxes that did not relate to TIFs, they related to a TIF bond, but they weren't needed, were reported inadvertently as TIF revenues, rather they should have been reported as revenues in the village's general accounts. And that was so those three adjustments, the first one was 2.5 million for the unreported interest. Second, I'm in parts I'm exceeding and apologize. We'll be better in a month and a half. Program expenses, the money we had reported as of beginning of 2021, 306,000. And then we also had shown 1.3 million in taxes is being added to the TIF funds, and they weren't supposed to be here. In 2021, we had additional transfers for other supporting monies to the tune of $750,000. So TIF 1 had monies of $2.3 million that were in the TIF funds that really belong to the general fund, basically the general funds. And that's money that we get to spend based upon actions we take as a board or based upon your adoption of budgets. It's not money that's restricted to the spending for the TIF fund. In addition, we expect to recover probably another $600,000 to $800,000 over the next 2 years. Last year, the TIF collection, we had not made a positive decision to extend the TIF. Guess we just left it off, but will be another $600,000 to $800,000 for the general fund. So ultimately, the village is going to capture somewhere between 2.9 and 3.1 million of money that will augment what we've collected in our accounts. And we haven't decided. I think in the budget process, at some juncture we talked about establishing capital projects. That would be monies that would be used for capital needs. Maybe as part of this budget, maybe a separate issue. We're not quite finished with this yet, but I think this means that we would have a nice sum of money to deal with the needs of the village without having to increase property taxes. So I think all very positive. So that's the time for that. The general funds main operating fund of the village, and they all the other funds. They do a lot of those things, but I think there was significantly positive results. We had $620,000 of positive outcome from that fund. Part of it is you almost wonder why we were having financial challenges, back from 2006 to 2017, because all of a sudden right now everything's going behind. There's no very all 8 cylinders, I guess, but it's just I have an electric car, so it's close. And that number, by the way, is after spending $353,000 in capital. Let's put that in context. Most governments screw and say to try to come up with capital, do bonds and do everything else. We're paying it from our operating. So, very unique situation, but a very positive situation. After all the dust settled with all these adjustments and everything, The general fund had a balance of 1.9, 35% of our expenditures. How does that measure up? Well, the key thing for 35% represents 4.5 months worth of spending. You know, typically, well-run communities look to get somewhere between 2 and 3 months, 17%, 5%. So we are right now in a very enviable position where we are solidly financed, and if we heard it at the hiccup, we have the resources to deal with the issue. So again, a very big positive. The next area on my list is, they call it non-current obligations. Okay. Very good story again. That whole category declined, and that's on page 67. You know, audit me later, much as the numbers, but that declined by $6 million. So, out that amount, 4.2 million were reductions in pension liability. These pension funds work hard, you know, you're gonna try to. And that you've been working hard. I'm coming in here after the fact a little, you know, but you know, you borrowed $1 million to fund the pension funds, I think, in 2012. You took proceeds from the sale of the firehouse and dedicated, I think, another $1 million to the pension fund. You guys didn't know it, but when the police pension fund was established in 2001, or maybe you did talk about it, is IRF previously provided pension benefits to the policemen. All they transferred over to the new pension fund, the collectively contributions made by the employees. All the money that the village paid in and all the interest money over the previous 20, 30, or whatever years, IRF kept, which ironically, IRF in this audit had a $1.6 billion surplus because they didn't need that money. I mean, we don't pay hardly anything. So dealing with the pension is a very positive outcome of the village, and it should be lauded and didn't. TIF debt, though, is also unsubstantially reduced. I mean, other than the junior league bond, there were a substantial amount of debt that was taken, which I don't know off the top of my head, I would say somewhere $12 to $15 million over the period of time from 1999 to, you know, as recently as 2017. Well, right now, we reduced that by about $48 million. And, excuse me, we reduced that by 1.9 million. We have funds on hand already to make all the final payments through 2023. So effectively, our TIF GO debt is paid off. Now, the junior league bonds, even though they didn't pay interest for a long period of time, they were at 5.8 million in 21 and 22. So I added 22. We made about $1 million in payments on those junior league bonds, and we expect to probably another 800,000 in this last year. So the remaining $4 million, you know, probably will not have a source to be repaid. But I will tell you that the village bonds were written that said, if there are not funds to pay, they are extinguished. And the bondholders took the risk. But also tell you they had a very high coupon. And so if they would have gotten a normal coupon, instead of owing $4 million, I think we calculated the number like 800,000 to $1 million. So, but in short, the TIF debt is almost behind. In retrospect, and this is something that we've been kicking around, could help us out by the country. $5 million that is short, which is really causing a $4 million shortfall, relates to the $5 million taken out to build the additional buildings on the west side of Market Street. And unfortunately, not a lot of that was built. As a result, that's really what our remaining debt is. And obviously, the mayor reminded me it was also recession, which is true. You know, so the combination of that is, you know, and I've sat through meetings and people always say, well, how can we make people pay off? Well, no, the bonds only get paid off. If it's not successful, you don't get paid off. That's just the way this type of debt. Last piece is your regular GO debt. Now remember, you borrow money for road improvements, sewer improvements. There's, again, it's, I want to say it's somewhere between, again, I didn't go back and add up the numbers, thinking of it right now, so it's too late. You borrow probably between us at least, you know, $6 to $8 million over the last 20 years to pay for improvements in the village. And as including, as I mentioned, those pension, line contributions, and you also, I think, in 2016, if I remember correctly, borrowed 765,000 to fund the government. I mean, if you didn't borrow that money, you know, the other dire situation. Good news is, as of the end of this audit, we're down to 1.8. And with the payments that have been made subsequent to this audit that are planning to be, starting to throw a few reference things as Ryan was talking about. We're down to $1 million. So, and most of our debt will be paid off in the next 5 years. So, great news, good process. You know, we're not, you know, we have positive outcome and we're not paying interest. So I think my conclusion is, in the audit, you know, it's just a matter of outlining the proper way. Took a little more time, but I want to make sure we do what's going on. We didn't just pay it forward like in the past. But there are significant positive results that I think is really going to help the village be prepared for the future. So I don't know if there's questions on the audit, if people want to raise it, and I have a good update on where we are.
Well, I just like to say that Dan and I talk from time to time about what's going on, and that included his father. I know he's spent a considerable amount of time on the TIF issue because the records and the information is incorrect. And so we've talked about that before, and this is the result of that. As well as, I think the most significant thing we talked about also was the pension liabilities being readjusted, which is really all the financial picture for the town. So, I mean, I couldn't say enough positive things about where this audit has gone and the amount of time that Dan has put into this to make sure it's correct and that we're on good firm ground. We should be lucky that we are on the ground that we are. We're a small town, but our debt is diminished, and we move on from there. It's also a reflection of the current administration in our due diligence of trying to be fiscally responsible. The other piece of being fiscally responsible is not only watching our annual budget and then all coming up again. It's also really understanding what those numbers really mean. I appreciate it. Well, I have a great general understanding of this, and I dived very deeply into this when I first came on the board and worked with the budget. Dan's expertise really got all the lumps out of everything that we were dealing with. So I really appreciate the fact that he has spent this amount of time with the auditors to straighten this all out. So we're in a very good position, and this administration and leadership out of this town has done a great job in putting us there. So we continue to move forward, thinking about that, and then adding to the value of the town. You see streets getting done, negotiations with other entities to try to do the best thing on behalf of the town. So it's all very positive. I truly appreciate it.
But it's your work. So. The other, yes, sir.
I have a question. When we came on here about 6 years ago or whatever, we were 17 million in debt. We cut that down last year. I think we announced we were like 7.5 million in debt. What do you feel will be at the end of this fiscal year?
I can do all my head. No, it's good principle.
Just
I say, I forget we have the $1 million that we expect. Plus, there is some tip debt, but that's all provided for in cash. So when I tell you that I think at the end of 2023, we're down to $1 million in that, we're going to be through $1 million. And I think the other.
Really great job.
You guys did it.
All right.
Thank you.
You guys did the process.
Very good.
All right, well, the next thing is I put together, and I always hand out my, standard financial statement. I always, I check, I looked at my 2021 compared to the go out of the way, except that we're all messed up. But I'd like to kind of, talk about, the 2023 operation, 9 months. We are still doing very solid. So we have positive revenue variances in most cases, our state income tax provider, you know, doing some really remarkable things. Our spending is remaining within our budgetary constraints. So, you know, everybody, you know, sometimes takes a position and says, oh, we can spend this extra money. Well, as soon as you start making that decision, it's a you know, snowball rolling down the hill. Capital expenditures, you're still paying for from operation. I'm not a big fan of it, to give you no sense, but again, what's happening is, you know, the whole process here is we are making improvements without, again, raising property tax. You know, I guess what is involved, but we had not raised property taxes, actually reduced them dramatically. So then I think the last point is our fund balance are still as solid as ever. You know, I showed the general fund, we had talked about the fund balance, the audit, you know, the 1.9 million. Well, my projection right now is that the general fund, general funds right now are about 3 million at the end of 2022, and it'll probably be about 3 to 3.5 million. So when you think about that number in context, if 1.9% is 35%, you know, we're now at the 60-70%. So, and obviously that affords us opportunities to reprogram monies into other pieces. So nothing really at the financials sticks out. If you know, again, our revenues are generally coming in. There's a little issue here or there, but they're minor, so it's fine. And you know what? Every issue we have other line items that are positive. So the good news is, you know, that we're doing really well. Again, as I put on here, I ask you, is we're on target to reduce our debt to $1 million this year. There's even some better news. Our pensions are going to reduce by another $3 million this year. You know, partially because of the consolidated pension plan, since they are, you know, since they're a bigger plan, we're getting the benefit of their investment power. They're projecting to earn 6.8%. Understand that 2 years ago, we were projecting 2.5%. This last year, they were projecting 5%. But if we are at 6.8%, you know, that reduces the liability because there's going to be more investment earnings making the payments on the pension. But I also want to put something, I think it was dramatic, Ryan, out of the pension board meeting today. You know, when we made the commitment to set the funding at 950,000 plus what we lost cost. It turns out that because of this new investment power, our required contribution is somewhere between 750,000 and 800,000. You know, at the current levels. So now, as part of the budget, you guys can provide it, although. But we decided, it was decided last year, we could have lowered that payment. We decided to keep it at the 950 or really 980 amount. And the question I asked, are we going to continue doing that? And the answer from the administration is yes. So we present to a budget, we're going to keep funding at 950. But we're going to do one more thing. And I don't know how much I can discuss. In pension calculations, the way pensions are funded for all the other communities is if I'm funding 950 today, 10 years from now, I'm funding $1.4 million. Pension payments are skewed to go up and up and up, and they cause fiscal disaster. In our case, if we fund 950 today and continue to fund 950, in 18 years, we're going to have the whole pension liability liquidated. Gone. Okay. That candidly, the calculated number, right, was 875,000, I think, is the number that needs to be funded, you know, to get it, make it go away in 18 years. So if I pay an extra,
That's an extra 75, Dan.
So,
I got you.
the extra $55,000 is going to accelerate the reduction of that liability. And so instead of taking 18 years to pay it off, it might take 16 or 17 years to pay it off. And by the way, if you have a bad investment year like maybe 2022, we have some cushion. And the pension board agreed to this funding policy. So, you know, our whole goal was to say, let's see if we get them on board before we come back to you. So as we do the budget today, the policies which are being funded by the budget, we have an agreement now with the pension plan that they are satisfied with this plan that we've got to develop. So again, our liability is down, our payments are going to stay at the current level and are going to pay off the debt. So when you talk about $1 million of pension liability, we'll be down to $7 million at the end of this year. And we're gonna be gone. And once we fully fund the pension, so in other words, we pay that $950,000, about $200,000 of that is what the normal cost. That's the cost that you gotta pay every, like taking it out of your FICA account. Well, guess what? When it's fully paid off, instead of having to pay $950, we can pay $250. We just picked up $700,000 of extra revenue, or that we can use to fund the operation to provide basic, basic. So I'm excited about it. So as much as you get excited about accounting information, I guess, but I think, and the IMRF still has an extra $500,000 of money because they're still holding on to that money that they, back in 2000. So, I think what ultimately would happen is when we take all these extra monies that are out there and we can tally them up, $3 million from the tip, there's another $1 million sitting in the sales tax, not only will sales tax fund be I would submit that we can put a lot of that in the general fund. I don't think we need to be funded at a higher level. I mean, I think our 35%, I would recommend is fine. So we can pull another 1.5. We can have somewhere between $4.5 and $5 million of money that we could use to do with capital, which, should, really add to the benefit of the community and do, great things. And that's without, again, we're not extending to one else. So, like I said, the numbers the same way. This is 9 months. Any revenue that's over 75% is good news. Any expenditure under 75% is good news. And unless people want to go to detailed line items, our biggest number that's helpful is the income tax. Our sales tax were kind of softening in the summer. They picked up again. So I think things will be really good. When we come back to the budget, I mean, one thing I did see a report yesterday is the first negative is that across the whole country, income tax receipts have fallen back to 2019 levels. So maybe all this euphoria we heard over, 20 to 23 with higher income tax levels, there might be some retrenchment. But guess what? We have our money, we have our reserves. We wouldn't even have to deficit spend or even reserves. We will have it in the budget. So, like I said, phase 2 is it just doesn't matter with the 2021 audit. Good information going forward. And I think it's nice to put together a plan that doesn't require, trying to borrow money or try to, deal with the 17 million that. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Any of them?
I just want to say you want to be 3 minutes. Thank you.
I haven't been here for 3 weeks off.
Yeah. Outstanding. Then it's just available important that we're in the position that we are due to the hard work of Dan and all of the this week. So thank you for those reports. If there are no questions from the board on Dan's report, we'll move into report standing committee. If you would like to make a public comment now, yeah, you can certainly, we can do that now. I'll allow it. Because I have messages. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you might have a question that's relevant to this.
This will be the last year of the collection. So then starting next year is the first year after the tip is done. Now, speaking for the village, we are not increasing our taxes. And we're instead passing that all back to the tax. I don't know what the schools will do, Argo and 108. By the way, we cut it to the village, not just the 108 portion benefits, everybody benefits. And I'm not sure if you have the taxing body there, but, there's opportunities.
I think what you were trying to ask, Carol, was when do you think they're gonna receive it? So it's always like a year delayed before it gets. So realistically, they're gonna be collecting it next year, which will show up. Yeah, in next year. That's, I think, the answer.
Yes, Thank you. Okay, I think we're okay now to move into reports of standing committees. Finance and Administration Committee, Trustee R.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to approve item 8A1 warrant number 22-0 dated October 12, 2023. Payroll and fund expenses totaling $219,219.25.
That we have the motion by Trustee R. Is there a second? By Trustee Moon. Questions or discussion on the warrants?
Just unusual things in there. This warrant is actually right about normal, but it does include the $35,000 for the demolition project. It's at 8,200 on Wolf Road, so that house they got in that. And then it has the 18,000 in it for the 2021 audit that Angie spoke about. So that's in this one, and that's just unusual charges. That's information.
Any other discussion on the warrants? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee R,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Posh,
Aye.
Moon, Carl.
All ayes and those warrants are approved.
That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Public Safety Committee, we don't have Trustee Kennedy with us. Chief, do you have anything to report on?
I can just, one quick item. I'm sure everybody has been. Naturally, this brings attention to terrorism. Recently, today, Mount Auburn, including, books. Input. It's not confirmed. What our job tomorrow is to make sure that we take special attention to the schools. Okay. And it's say the schools that are not well trained. Honestly, it's not a lot. Towards intelligence goes very high level, and it's something we're proud of. Let's put it that way. We'll know that. So anybody, calm down, it makes you point.
Thank you for taking the extra step with our schools and for reporting on it and keeping us aware. So yes, everyone just, continue for yourselves to be aware of their surroundings and pay attention. And our thoughts are with everybody who is experiencing war and acts of terror right now. Okay, anything else, Chief?
That's it.
All right, thank you so much. We will move into Municipal Buildings and Grounds Committee.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to report tomorrow is Candy Day for Lions, so you see them out in the corner, dig deep in your pockets and purses and support them so we can keep helping other people out that need help. On the other hand, Parks and Rec meeting will be moved from the 16th this Monday to the following Monday to the 23rd. And I'd like to thank Public Works for removing the infield in the Pines Park, putting down black dirt and seed. It's great. We also have basketball rims, nets, and cornhole games ordered for next summer for parks, for both parks, Willow and Lions. And then finally, at last, it's Christmas tree registration for $100. We're having the community Christmas tree again this year, and you got to register by November 6th. That pretty much concludes my report.
Thanks, Rick. All good stuff. Thank you for those updates. Okay, we will move into public works committee. Trustee Tosh.
I'll say it. I'd like to let everybody know that Keith and I and all his employees attended a live webinar this week on the brine class. And we did receive another brine tank over at Public Works, and I think this winter is gonna be our first one to really doing some creative experiments with brine. We can try to use less salt. And on October 25th, before his public works staff are going to find space framing. This is just another one of the projects, you know, we don't announce them a lot, but we're able to send these guys to a lot of safety classes because we don't want to see anybody get hurt. Everyone should return home to the family tonight. So he's been pretty good about finding us all these classes. And then that's my report.
Very good, my report. I did meet with the water commission project on Tuesday. On schedule, their payment and development stuff. So, we're gonna have that.
Thank you very much.
The first, that you say we have two Brian Hayes, no?
Okay, license and franchise committee. Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sorry, I don't have anything new to report. Tonight is Thursday, we find things that we can license. Is anyone here?
Thanks, trustee Moon. Building and zoning committee, trustee Park.
For the month of September, very good permits, so construction costs for those $412,750. Resulting in permit fees of $12,960. And for the 9 months of the year, we've issued 231 permits. With a construction value of $6,343,554.11, and brings for the first 9 months of the year permit fees of $167,947.07. That's all I have.
Thank you, trustee Park. We have no action items tonight, so we can expect, as we reported on throughout the evening tonight, lots more to come in our next meetings towards the end. Is there any old business? Any new business?
I'd like to say something old Andy. This Saturday at the community center, the historical society and Ron Wetzel are having a meeting from 1 to 3. And hopefully we can get a few of the citizens in town there. Last year we had a good turnout from town, so hopefully we can get a few more that will stop in for that 1 to 3 and
Yes.
okay.
Thank you for,
All right, everyone. And person.
yes, please.
I would like you and Brian to explain to the audience about your trip to Washington and explain it to us, if you would, please. That's Monday. You got a great honor and probably for it. I think we all should hear about it.
Thank you. Yes, I can do that. So, this last week, I had the opportunity to go to Washington DC as part of the West Central Municipal Conference. So members of the conference, mayors, and people from this area went out to Washington DC and met with representatives out there. And as part of my track, because I am an attorney, had the honor of being admitted to the United States Supreme Court. So, it was again, a tremendous honor, chance of a lifetime, and, I was admitted with 6 other attorneys that are from the West Central Conference, and really, all the credit goes to the conference for having this opportunity for, attorneys that are members of the conference. And so more than anything, it's just very, very nice honor and really incredible to see our United States Supreme Court and how it works and, watch a hearing and be a part of all that. So the amount of history there is tremendous. It's my first time in DC. I did not spend a lot of time here, but hopefully I'm happy. It is rich with history, and we just so happened to be there. It was the same day we were at Capitol Hill that Harvey was voted on the call.
No relation.
No relation. Thank you for pointing that out. So it was that thing, still happening, so kind of. In a nutshell, that was the trip. The conference was there for longer, and they had some, really great meetings then.
Well, very proud to represent our city and congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you. There's no need for executive session tonight. We need to go back, the conference committee was signed up.
Carol Valdez. Are you done?
That might have something to do with what you were talking about, Steve. It does what you heard on the last year. You get your outside. They're saying, most security of the lab. We're like, it's up there, we were talking about it. I don't know.
They had a lot of them yesterday at P108. As part of their practice for security purpose, they have drills.
It was practice. It was a drill.
Nationwide.
That was a nationwide drill, the, what's it called, American court case system, where people are notified that something's going on. Yeah, 1:20 in the afternoon.
In the morning, the school had a lockdown.
Sorry, I didn't have enough there.
So the school had a lockdown drill yesterday morning. I actually heard feedback from the school that they were very thankful that the practice drills. So if the concern is that you as neighbors are hearing it and you're becoming concerned, maybe what we can do next time is let the neighboring residents know that a drill will be a practice of chief, but will be happening there so that you're not concerned that it's not. Yeah.
Well, obviously, it's-
If we're made aware of it, it can go out as an employee.
They were so close to the school, we heard it very. That maybe when you do the report, like if there's robberies or any, anything that's kind of fun, give a little more of a report. That's the word. That happened.
So you're talking more about like activity that's happening, because I know we hear extensive reports about what's going on in the department from chief.
More stuff like that happening.
Thankfully, I think we are
Yeah,
pretty quiet, but there's not a lot of activity.
I'm pretty confident.
About robberies or. Urban go.
It's not been a robbery since I've been, just to be clear. So if you're hearing about robberies, it's misinformation in some fashion. We're talking about burglaries, that's a robbery, right? But robberies when somebody. Okay, so we've had a couple of those, generally push burglars. And we actually caught the last push burglar that I know. But we talked about it here, it's about 6 months.
Was that Diamond on the one there's?
Yeah, the baseball diamond in Lions Park, yeah. They removed that at the infield, put black dirt down and seeded, got rid of all the rocks and all the debris.
Why is it, why is that taken out? I know there used to be like.
Yeah, it was.
The diamond there was overgrown. It's being utilized as soccer fields by the school now. So in order to make it more, safe for use for soccer, it was an overgrown field, baseball.
I didn't know.
I think because they're using it as soccer fields, now the purpose was to redo the field so that they can.
School doesn't really use it.
Thank you. Anybody else sign up for public comment?
No, that's it.
Okay, and as I said, we have no need for executive session tonight, so I'll move into my report. A lot of the this report has been covered, so I just wanna mention what Ernie had said, that the Historical Society is having a discussion on Saturday at 1:00 in the University of Community Center. And Ron, did you want to speak a little bit about what the topic of that is?
Sure.
Once you're here.
So we're going to do this is the first time. Nice and we have about 20 people right now, we've got about 35 people that are showing up. And but I'm looking for some of the leadership here, somebody to show up. But and so what we're going to do, so I'm going to give you a little teaser. Many people know what this was before it was Mount Forest and Spring Forest. Everybody here know the name of this community was before it was incorporated. So the teaser.
I thought it was spring forest.
There's something junction. And I'm gonna tease you with that, so the electrical there.
He listens to stuff.
Gave the little strings, I'll call it for easy purposes, and yeah. Tracks again, so that's what we call it, the junction. So at the very last building being trucked on like. River, and Fairchurch Junction, and you can actually prove that you have to link the memorial train. Stop and close. This is a little fact that a lot of people in this room didn't know what Joey Junction. Okay, but learning about history of our small little community is a wonderful thing. So we're going to take it from, there's probably part of it. Next one, we did it in about 3 hours. So it's about 2 hours. Thank you from the Historical Society. One resident is going to coffee and water. Things like that. So we have one time, we'll take it right in the middle of it. We have a couple of guests free on our side. Yeah, at least one ex-mayor from Willow Springs coming. That they present. So it'll be a really interesting time. learning from everything from the tribal nations that used to be in our community, where they were, what happened from playland all the way up to, around 83. We go over all of that, okay? And the historical society itself, we open an hour before and an hour after. Meeting. So, looking forward to seeing this will be out there from here.
It wasn't called Petticoat Junction, that's where they got that.
Roy's Junction, and that's something just as a teaser, some of the things you'll learn. With our chat group history. How did I learn all this stuff? So kind of paper. And I was he used to come up with the firehouse, which was next to his house. He was volunteering. He would come on and chat. Next thing you know, that little bit of coffee, served about 20 different people every day. People just stop and I'll be here at first.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Ron.
All right, thank you.
All right, so go and check out that event at the community center, this Saturday at 1 p.m. And then, as I said, I think a lot of my report was already covered. Mine, we're having the meeting tomorrow. Parks and Rec is starting their tree program, so be sure to purchase the tree and then decorate it. Finally, in terms of, so along with decorating, thank you to all those who have been helping put out the fall decorations around the village hall. Our next meeting is in 2 weeks. Until then, everybody be well and feel free to reach out to us here. If you have any questions. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So we may say motion.
Motion by trustee Moon, second. By trustee Polish. All those in favor signify by saying aye. This meeting is adjourned at 8:01. Thanks, everybody.
Wait.